Taqi ad-Din Muhammad ibn Maruf al-Shami al-Asadi, born in 1526, was a brilliant Ottoman scientist and polymath who worked in both Cairo and Istanbul. He wrote more than 90 books on subjects such as astronomy, mechanics, mathematics, engineering, optics, and philosophy. In 1574, Sultan Murad III invited him to build a grand observatory in Istanbul, where Taqi ad-Din designed advanced instruments including an armillary sphere and one of the earliest mechanical clocks for precise astronomical observation. Using these tools, he studied the Great Comet of 1577 and produced important works based on his observations, including the Tree of Ultimate Knowledge in the Kingdom of the Revolving Spheres, which contained detailed tables and corrections to Ulugh Beg's 15th century astronomical work. His observations in Cairo and Istanbul improved the accuracy of celestial calculations and showed his mastery of precision instruments. As a scientist, Taqi ad-Din demonstrated remarkable creativity across many fields. His measurements of star positions were so accurate that they surpassed those of his European contemporaries, Tycho Brahe and Copernicus. He also described an early steam-powered device in 1551, using steam to rotate a cooking spit, an early example of a steam turbine concept. His interest in timekeeping led him to design advanced astronomical clocks, which he used in his observatory. In optics, he analyzed how light is emitted and reflected, verified the law of reflection through experiments, and discussed refraction. His wide-ranging intellect and experimental methods made him one of the most innovative thinkers of the 16th century. Taqi ad-Din was born in Damascus and descended, by his own claim, from the Ayyubid dynasty. He began his education in theology, but soon became fascinated with the rational sciences. He studied mathematics and astronomy in Damascus and Cairo, often alongside his father, Maruf Effendi. After teaching in several schools and serving as a judge in Palestine, Damascus, and Cairo, he gained recognition for his scientific work. In 1571, shortly after moving to Istanbul, he was appointed chief astronomer to the Ottoman Sultan, replacing Mustafa ibn Ali al-Muwaqqit. His connections with scholars and statesmen were strong, and his reports to Sultan Murad III about errors in Ulugh Beg's astronomical tables convinced the Sultan that new observations were necessary. Encouraged by this, Murad III funded the construction of a modern observatory in Istanbul. Before the observatory was completed, Taqi ad-Din continued his research at the Galata Tower. By 1577, he moved his work to the newly built observatory, known as Dar al-Rasad al-Jadid, which stood on a hill in the Tofain district. It consisted of two main buildings, one large and one smaller, and included a library filled with books on astronomy and mathematics. The observatory's staff numbered 16, including 8 astronomers, 4 clerks, and 4 assistants. Taqi ad-Din used instruments modeled on older Islamic designs, as well as new devices he invented himself. His methods and precision were impressive. His trigonometric tables based on decimal fractions calculated the tilt of the ecliptic at 23 degrees 28 minutes 40 seconds, extremely close to the modern value. His calculation of the sun's apogee movement, at 63 seconds, was also more accurate than those of Copernicus and Tycho Brahe. The purpose of the Istanbul Observatory was to give scholars a place to study, create instruments, and compile new astronomical tables. It became one of the largest scientific centers in the Islamic world. Completed in 1579, it operated until early 1580, when it was destroyed. While some said this happened for religious reasons, political tensions seem to have played a larger role. Grand Vizier Sinan Pasha's report to Sultan Murad III revealed that religious authorities were suspicious of Taqi ad-Din and wanted to accuse him of heresy. The Sultan tried to protect him, but the political situation eventually led to the observatory's closure and destruction. Despite his genius, Taqi ad-Din's influence after his death was limited. Few copies of his works survived, and his commentaries did not spread widely. However, some of his manuscripts reached Europe thanks to Jacob Golius, a Dutch scholar who collected Arabic and mathematical texts in Istanbul in the early 17th century. Golius later brought one of Taqi ad-Din's optical manuscripts to Europe, where it became part of the Bodleian Library collection. This helped preserve a small portion of his legacy. Not everyone admired Taqi ad-Din. Some European visitors, such as Salomon Schweger, described him negatively, claiming he had deceived the Sultan and wasted royal funds. However, most modern historians recognize him as one of the greatest scientific minds of the Ottoman Empire. After writing more than 90 books and contributing groundbreaking work in astronomy, mathematics, and mechanics, Taqi ad-Din died in 1585 at the age of 59, leaving behind a legacy of creativity, precision, and innovation that bridged the worlds of Islamic and European science. Taqi al-Din was the founder and director of the Constantinople Observatory, also known as the Istanbul Observatory. It was one of the most significant scientific institutions of the 16th century and one of his greatest contributions to Ottoman and Islamic astronomy. The observatory is considered one of the largest in Islamic history and is often compared to Tycho Brahe's Uraniborg Observatory in Denmark, which was the leading European center for astronomical research at that time. Both men are frequently compared for their precision, innovation, and influence on the science of astronomy. The story of the observatory began when Taqi al-Din returned to Istanbul in 1570 after 2 decades in Egypt, where he had advanced his studies in mathematics and astronomy, following the death of the previous chief astronomer, Sultan Selim II, appointed Taqi al-Din to the post in 1571. In his early years as chief astronomer, Taqi al-Din worked from both the Galata Tower and a building overlooking Tofane. Through his growing reputation, he gained the trust of important Ottoman officials. With their support, Sultan Murad III issued an imperial decree in 1569 to construct a new observatory in Istanbul. The observatory housed an impressive library of scientific books and instruments, and it employed 16 assistants who helped design and build devices for observation. Scholars from across the empire worked there under Taqi al-Din's leadership. From this observatory, he famously observed the Great Comet of 1577. Unfortunately, the Sultan saw the comet as a bad omen for his war against the Safavids, and even blamed Taqi al-Din for the plague that struck the city around the same time. Political conflicts soon arose, and the observatory, though a symbol of Ottoman scientific achievement, was shut down in 1579 and demolished in early 1580, only 11 years after its creation. The rise and fall of Taqi al-Din's observatory were deeply tied to the politics of the Ottoman court. His father had been a professor at the Damascus College of Law, which helped Taqi al-Din build strong scholarly and political connections in Syria and Egypt. During his travels to Istanbul, he befriended several scholar jurists and gained access to the private library of the Grand Vizier, Semiz Ali Pasha. Later, he worked under the patronage of Sokolu Mehmed Pasha, the Grand Vizier and mentor of Sultan Murad III. Sokollu introduced the idea of the observatory to the Sultan, knowing his interest in astronomy. Murad III saw the project as an opportunity to showcase Ottoman power and intellectual prestige. He provided generous funding, access to books, and political protection. The Sultan also ordered his court historian, Sayyid Lokman, to document the observatory's progress in great detail, emphasizing that the discoveries made there placed the Ottoman Empire ahead of other monarchies in Iraq, Persia, and Anatolia. At the observatory, Taqi al-Din used a mix of traditional Islamic and new European astronomical instruments, while also designing several original devices of his own. Among his most important inventions was an automatic mechanical clock, which greatly improved the precision of astronomical measurements. He also used classical instruments described by Ptolemy, such as the armillary sphere, a model of the heavens with rings marking celestial coordinates, the parallactic ruler, or triquetrum, for measuring the altitude of celestial bodies, and the astrolabe for calculating their positions. He refined traditional Muslim instruments like the mural quadrant, which measured angles up to 90 degrees, and the azimuthal quadrant. Taqi al-Din's personal inventions included the ruler quadrant for calculating diameters and eclipses, a mechanical clock with a system of gears to measure the ascension of stars, and a device called the mushabaha bil menatuk, used to determine equinoxes. These innovations reflected his creative approach to observational science. Taqi al-Din also made lasting contributions to clockmaking and mechanics. Before the 16th century, mechanical clocks were rare in the Ottoman Empire because they were expensive and not essential for daily life, as most people relied on sundials and water clocks to determine prayer times. However, around 1547, the situation changed when Austrian envoys brought mechanical clocks as gifts, sparking an interest among Ottoman elites. European craftsmen soon began creating clocks that suited Ottoman tastes, showing moon phases and using Arabic numerals. When mechanical clocks became fashionable, the Grand Vizier asked Taqi al-Din to design a clock that could precisely show the time of daily prayers. This led him to write his first major work on clockmaking, The Brightest Stars for the Construction of Mechanical Clocks, in 1563. In this book, he aimed to create more accurate devices that could improve astronomical observation and help understand celestial motion. He studied European clockmaking techniques and examined the clocks in the Grand Vizier's treasury, analyzing weight-driven, spring-driven, and lever escapement mechanisms. As chief astronomer, he went on to construct one of the most advanced astronomical clocks of his time, featuring 3 dials that displayed hours, minutes, and seconds, each minute divided into 5 equal parts. This invention was crucial for making more precise astronomical calculations. Taqi al-Din's studies also extended to early steam technology. In 1551, he described a steam-powered device in his book, The Sublime Methods of Spiritual Machines. The machine used steam to rotate a cooking spit, making it one of the earliest known examples of a steam turbine. In the same work, he described several water-raising machines, including animal-driven pumps and a 6-cylinder water pump powered by a paddle wheel. His designs were highly advanced for their time, preceding similar European technologies. The screw pump he described came before Agricola's famous publication on the same subject, and his 2-pump engine built upon the earlier ideas of al-Jazari, laying groundwork for future steam engine development. Through his work in astronomy, mechanics, and engineering, Taqi al-Din demonstrated not only scientific brilliance, but also the ability to combine innovation with the rich traditions of Islamic science. His observatory stood as a symbol of Ottoman intellectual ambition, And even though it was short-lived, his discoveries and inventions remain among the most remarkable achievements of early modern science.